All right, so hi. We don't know exactly who we're talking to, but a bunch of people making really fun videos. I just watched one on TikTok, posted on Twitter that's from TikTok from one of these new teachers. But apparently, it's a group of teachers that will finish their education program this week and be launched into the world of teaching. So we're
How
signing in to say,
exciting.
hey, your 180 days presentation, we probably didn't make it in time for that, but we're supporting you and we're thinking
How
about
crazy is how crazy is it to enter the teaching profession in the teeth of the pandemic too? But
it is.
wow, welcome to the profession. I think it's going to be great. I can tell from the enthusiasm of your videos. I don't know, you're that energy you guys emanate gives me hope that the baton is being handed off to the next generation eventually, and that you guys are going to go in there and change lives. I'm so excited for you as you transition into the classroom.
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed on their Twitter ID, they used the quote about how important it is to connect with your students. And I thought that represents a lot about what they believe and connect to them in
Well, yeah,
important ways, not just superficial ways, but important ways.
right. And it took me too many years to figure this out, that it's really more about that connection with kids than it is about the stuff that you're teaching, right? That connection should come first. And so, as we talked about in 180 days, how do we build that connection with readers and writers? A lot of that is that one-to-one teacher conferring and shouldering up with kids and greeting them at the door, and that little side conversation with 1 minute left in the period. How's it going with your grandmother? Kind of stuff. That stuff is as important as the curriculum in trying to establish a classroom in which kids are going to want to do meaningful reading, writing.
I would agree. I think about that little conversation at the door means that when you confer with them, you might say, hey, maybe you have more to say about your grandmother, right? Those things
Mhm.
always fuel those moments with kids.
So I would also say that, you're about to be overrun by this thing called teaching. And I think one way to stay strong and stay healthy is yourself trying to maintain a reading life and a writing life outside the classroom. I mean, if you're going to be a reading and writing teacher, I think you have to read and write yourself. And I think this is one way of staying new and staying fresh as you enter the profession. And so, Penny, maybe we should talk about, what are you reading? What are you writing? What are you thinking about?
Isn't that true? That's so true for us. I have been reading a mixture. I've been reading a lot. I don't know about you. Coronavirus, I'm home. I'm not traveling as much. I'm reading a lot.
I've read more books. I've gone from a 9 years human reader, but in teaching, I've gone from maybe reading a book or two a month to now reading maybe 5 or 6 books a month now.
Yeah.
So I have carved out, I find that hour or two every day now, usually in the evening, to do some reading.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what I'm reading right now is A Gentleman in Moscow. Uh,
Mm.
and the only reason I'm reading it is because I finished the book we read, Homeland Elegies, for our book club. And my husband goes, are you ever going to read that book I recommended, A Gentleman in Moscow? And I'm like, oh, that was a long time ago. I'm going to read that thing. But I'm also reading Disappearing in Glimpses. This is written by one of the women in the poetry writing group at the prison that I visited in Oklahoma. It's her first book.
Mm.
It's a memoir.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
that I'm reading more like I read poetry slowly. And then I wanted to say, just finished Micah's book, The Poet. Here Comes This Dreamer. Furia.
Micah,
Oh,
Micah Bournet, we should
yeah.
say.
And Furia is set in Argentina, and it is so alive with a love of soccer, of potential, layers of fascinating things. The author, Yamil, I'm not sure that I say that correctly, is from the Vermont College of Fine Arts, where I got to do a little work, where A.S. King is from. Two other YAs that I loved, Punching the Air. So Ibiza Boy, who wrote American Street, and Yusuf Salam, who is one of the Central Park Five, now the Exonerated Five. And lastly, Grown, Tiffany Jackson. Tough book. a girl's relationship with a much older guy, but good
Mm,
stuff. What are you
mm.
reading?
Well, I was looking for my Kindle. I don't know where I set it, but
I'm
as you
shocked.
know,
Wait. How
I
many Kindles have you lost in your travels?
that, that's a bird walk we don't need to go on right here. I think that will distract from the message that we're trying to give these fresh young teachers. And so, um, four is the answer. No, four is the answer.
Uh,
But as you know, my escapism reading is novels. I'm reading a brand new novel from Tana French, who's I think a Irish or English writer. She's written a number of really good books, but this is the first one in which her protagonist is an American, and so it's a retired Chicago detective who's decided to leave the stresses of Chicago and go live in the wilderness, not in the wilderness, but out in the rural area of Ireland. And of course, he stumbles across a mystery, and he's trying to. I don't
I've
even
read
remember the name
two
of
of
it.
their detective stories, right? Because I've read two of her books, and they were just like I
Yeah,
could not stop reading.
yeah, they're
Good
really good.
stuff.
So this one
Yeah,
is the first one with an American protagonist. So I
I'm
thought I
gonna
would
go
give that a
find it
try.
and put it on my Kindle.
Uh, I have a stack of books on deck that are coming up next,
Oh,
and so
I'm
I'm
listening
going
to
to
this.
I'm
Oh,
going to read Obama Part One,
I
his
know. It's so good.
700 pages of Part One, and then because Chris Crutcher had recommended, and I think Bob Probst had recommended this book, I ordered *Sapiens*,
You did.
and that is on deck too. So I'm going to be reading that. This is sort of a look at early human history, and it, to me, actually, I want to be honest, that sounds a little dry, but the people who've recommended it, I trust immensely. They both are just over the top enthusiastic
I
about
know.
how great this book is. That's kind of what's on deck.
Very cool. And Hamnet, of course, since that's our book.
Yeah, Penny and I are in a book club, and we selected a book called Hamnet, not Hamlet, but with an N, not an L. And uh, I think in the midst of this pandemic, Amazon's a little slow. I'm still waiting for my copy, so I haven't started it yet.
Hmm. Well, that leads me to what are you writing currently?
Well, I haven't been as prolific as you on the side. I've been working. Penny and I are working on a chapter right now in which we've been really wrestling with the idea that an essential unit for students should be digital composition. And so I spent a good part of this morning watching you have a conference with a kid and trying to shape that into a part of the chapter. I would say, just generally speaking, though, in my notebook, I've been some pictures of us at NTE and some of the remembrances.
Oh, I
NCTE.
should have done that. I like that.
Yeah, NCTE this year was digital, which was very, very strange for us. I've been taking some notes and reflections on some of the presentations at NCTE, but because they're digital, they are still posted and are going to be
Yeah.
there for a while. And let me just say this for new teachers, that I think one of the best things that you can do throughout your career, right, is to join, and I think your first year or so, it's a lot cheaper, but to join professional organizations like the National Council of Teachers of English, and to be able to attend, maybe the goal is someday to be able to attend that national conference, because there will be nothing you'll attend that will be quite like that. And I just remember when I was graduating into the profession, I had a professor say to me that, and I don't think he said it quite this strongly, but you have an obligation to remain professional in your career. And that means that you read, that means that you attend conferences. And, I would imagine your first year or two, you're more in survival mode and trying to establish yourself. But the best teachers I know are teachers who have been teaching 20 and 30 years and are still at it, still trying to read, still trying to think, still trying to attend conferences. And so I would encourage that, subscribe to the English Journal, subscribe to ILA. You know, I see ASCD is really good, right?
Yeah. I like ed leadership and I find that
Educational.
the research into the teaching of English is really interesting little journal from NCTE. I like the college composition one. I read much more now. Voices from the Middle, if you're interested in middle school. There are just so many blogs and things out there now that people can read that are great. My notebook, I am just really frustrated with this thing. This one started end of September, and I wish that I could toss it because it's just gotten really messy, which is hard for me. I can see where the end of the semester came in because that's when I like stopped writing. It's like this, which is just like I want to go toss it in the garbage because it's not beautiful. But I've been having all these failures, Kelly. Look at this one. I was trying to draw a bear, and it was so bad I pasted the postcard over the bear that I drew because he was so bad. His head was like this big, and that's not like me very much. So, like you, I put some pictures in because I'm taking care of the grandkids, and I put in my election badge from being an election official because it says I'm an election official. But I found that especially as we got to the end of the semester, I felt like everything just kind of frayed. I was so stressed over trying to teach online. But I did paste in my daughter's a second year teacher text we had one day about teaching. So there's a few
Mm.
gems in here, but I'm really kind of anxious to, I may quit this notebook early and start over because I haven't been doing so
New
great.
year in 3 weeks.
Huh?
New New year in 3 weeks.
I know, it's a perfect time. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I think what you said, the last thing I want us to end with is that idea, even more than an obligation, but how it energizes us to keep learning, to never get stuck where we are, and to be trying something different and learning new ways to think and asking colleagues for the kind of thinking that they're doing, and surrounding ourselves with people who never are satisfied that they've got it all. It's just so
I mean, I
powerful.
think
That's
that's
why I
true.
work with you.
I think I think that's true outside of teaching. I mean, the most interesting people I know in any profession are curious people, right? And I think teaching, it can be such a physical and mental grind at times that it's easy to get in a rut, and it's easy to sit at the wrong lunch table and complain with the teachers. And I think what you're saying is right. I've been very fortunate throughout my career that I was sort of taken under the wing of veteran teachers at different stages of my career who still really cared and still really understood what was at stake and really wanted to do that. And so that fire you feel right now, I mean, I think the goal is to feel that 10, 20, 30 years from now.
Yeah, and to be leading other people, finding
Yeah.
the people that keep you going. So
And then you get to a point where you can hang out at home with your dog and chill.
I was
But
gonna say, we
until
gotta
that
say
point
something
comes,
about scouting before we go. Oh, so good
so
luck, you guys.
congratulations. Yeah, congratulations. Good luck.
Absolutely.